Rabbi, do I have to donate my investments? If you're talking about giving maaser, like giving 10% maaser, then or chomesh if somebody gives chomesh. But when a person wants to get blessings on their money, then the Gaon Vilna says, as the Torah says, maaser v'titasher, that if somebody gives 10% of their income to its publicizing Torah, to its Torah scholars, to its kiruv, things like that, then if they give 10%, they're assured that they're not going to lose their money. They won't become poor. And if they give chomesh, they're assured that they will become wealthy. And so much so that this is the only thing that Hashem says to us clearly, that we're allowed to test them with this. Test them with the maaser. So now, as far as what you have to give maaser on, you have to give maaser on any money that you're getting. So if you're getting a salary from your job, or if you're a contractor, you're getting a payment, you give 10% of what you got. Now, as far as expenses to deduct, only deduct the cost of doing business. Meaning that if it's your income, let's say you make $2,000 a month, then and it didn't cost you any money to make the $2,000. All you had to do is show up to work and you got the $2,000. Then you have to give 10% off the $2,000. Now, if they deducted taxes out of it, and after taxes you only had $1,000 left, then you give 200 out of the 1,000, whatever you got in your hand. But if, let's say, you sold something, let's say you sold a car for $2,000. Now, obviously, that $2,000 is not all profit because the car cost you something. So let's say the car cost you $1,500, which means you only have $500 out of the $2,000 that's really profit. So now the 10% has to come out of the $500 profit. The same concept goes with stocks or bonds or real estate. If you sell a piece of real estate or you sell a piece of a stock for a profit, you have to give maaser. You have to give 10% of the money that you've profited. But you only have to give that 10%, that maaser, after you've sold it, not while you hold it. So let's say, for example, you have a stock that you bought for $1, and the stock miraculously went to $100. So you have a lot of profit, and you bought, I don't know, a bunch of shares, and you have, I don't know, $100 million in profits. Now, you don't have to give maaser until you sell it, because so long as you own it, it could always fluctuate in price, and it could potentially go back down to 1. So you don't have to sell it so long as you own it. But the moment you sell it, you have to give maaser if you want to follow the Torah, you want to get the blessing. What about your... Oh. So whether the money that you have is in a regular account, I guess you stock trader, whether it's in a regular account or it's in a retirement account, you need to give maaser on it. It doesn't make a difference where the money is. Now, I understand that if somebody, let's say, for example, bought a piece of property for $100,000, and they sold it for $500,000. That's a $400,000 profit. They have to give maaser off of that. The same concept goes with you invest in stocks. You invest $100,000. You sold it for $500,000. You have to give maaser off of that money. The problem is that I guess the point of your question is, what if that money that you have profits is in some form of retirement account, which means that, if you take the money out of the retirement account, then you are going to be subject to taxes because you took money out of some 401k or some IRA account. So you could do one of two things. One, you could take it out of a different account. That's not an IRA account, meaning you have the profits. Let's say you have $100,000 in profits that you got in your retirement account, and you sold everything, so you locked in the $100,000 profit. So you now, if you give him maaser, you give 10%. That's $10,000 you give maaser. So that $10,000 you can take it out of a regular account that you have. I'm sure you have some type of money in regular accounts that that you have $10,000 in, and you give the maaser from that account. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to actually take it out of the retirement account. Take it out of the retirement account, and yes, you don't have to take all the money out of the retirement account, but you take the money out of the retirement account and pay the penalty. Now, you don't necessarily need to do that. There's other options. So, I mean, you could also do something where, let's say, for example, you have $100,000 in profit and you want to give $10,000 in maaser, but you currently don't have $10,000 in your checking account because you're waiting for some this and you're waiting for some that. You just don't have it. So you can have a IOU note to yourself that as soon as you get the money, you'll give it. So let's say you don't have it now, but you expect to get it in, let's say, 2 months from now. So as soon as you get the money, 2 months from now, you give the maaser at that point. Try not to extend it too much. Usually the best thing to do is to give it the same year, not let a Rosh Hashanah pass without giving that maaser. But needless to say, the sooner you give the maaser, the better for you, because that maaser that you give, the moment you give it, you're in essence fueling the next blessing, meaning that $100,000 that you have has to be invested again. You want it to work out also the same way the first $100,000. So you want the blessing as soon as possible. So I understand that, there's some people that ask me about, they want to donate, but they have their money in, offshore, or they have their money in Bitcoin, or they have their money in all types of things. There's different ways to donate. But a person can certainly donate. You can even, with our organization, we have a way now to accept stock, to accept Bitcoin, to accept cryptocurrency. So you can donate even the asset itself, which sometimes is a major benefit for people financially and tax-wise. But the point being is that for all intents and purposes of your question, as far as whether you have to give money out of profits you're making in your retirement account, the answer is yes, once you've locked in the profits. Meaning, once you bought something, you sold it, that means that you have to give money you have to give maaser from that profit. Now, in your case, since you're, I guess, a trader of some kind. No, you just like to trade. You're not a trader. Okay, so in your case, that since you trade, then if you're more than, let's say, the average long-term investor, where you're not, you don't buy and hold for a few years, you usually, buy and sell regularly. For you to give maaser out of every single trade will become very cumbersome, difficult, and sometimes even detrimental to the strategy of investing that you have, because usually capital is trading is capital intensive, meaning the more capital you have, the more ability you have to do what you do. So if you're an active trader, then what you can do, instead of what I just said, which is to give maaser once you've sold, you can actually give maaser, let's say, every so often, whether it's every few months or even once a year. I recommend to do it, every few months and not once a year, just simply because it becomes more difficult to give maaser once the amount becomes bigger. The Yetzer Hara works harder, but the point is that if you give the maaser, let's say once a year or every few months, then that means you can tally all the trades, because I'm sure you have some, winning trades, but you also have some losing trades. So you can calculate the total of those trades, since you're an active trader, at that time during the year. And then, the ones that you've already locked in gains or losses on, and then give maaser off of that dollar amount. And yes, even that is the same thing in regards to, it doesn't matter whether it's a IRA, a 401k, or a regular account, or partnership. It doesn't make a difference. You give maaser. No, you don't have to necessarily give maaser specifically from that account. Just like I said, you could collect the profit in the retirement account, but pay the maaser from a regular account. Doesn't make a difference. where you pay the masa. It's just, the point is, spiritually speaking, it's as long as you pay the masa, you give the masa. It's a different type of investment. You have the investment of stocks and real estate and whatever people invest in today, and then you have investment in your spirituality, which is publicizing Torah and supporting Torah. That's a different type of masa. But where you give it from doesn't make a difference. So you can keep all your money in that account and give it from a different account. You could take everything from that account and give it from another one. It doesn't make a difference. We are meant to be a light unto the nations, not to follow their misguided practices. Remember, every Jew has to remember that he's a Jew and she's a Jew. We don't celebrate non-Jewish holidays, even if they seem harmless. It's a zilzul, disrespect to the Torah, and could lead to Chilul Hashem, desecration of God's name. Stick to our holy Torah and our own holidays. That's the path of a true Jew.